Morning, everyone. It's a little bit of a dreary day here, but today we're going to talk cryptocurrency. And my consensus is that crypto will make millionaires, but not for the reasons that you think. And if you're on the wrong side of this wealth transfer, it's going to be catastrophic, especially if you don't understand one simple truth. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Marx. I've built 4 successful firms. I've mentored thousands of advisors nationwide. I've spent 60,000 hours sitting across from real families, helping them solve real financial problems. I've hosted television, I've hosted radio, I've hosted podcasts. I've spoken nationally on the speaking circuit. I'm the folks people come to learn how to build their practices. I've sat across from billionaires. I've walked the trading floors. Basically, I've seen it all. I am releasing a new book called Inheritance, Blowing the Lid Off the Financial Industry in June of 2026. And my whole mission here is to speak truth. This is not a monetization engine for me. In fact, I'm going to speak to the monetization engine that is driving crypto in a moment here. But that's who I am. Until then, subscribe, share this with anybody who has fallen victim. And get ready for the book drop because it's going to make a lot of people unhappy. Let's talk about this lie that they've been feeding you. Crypto will make you rich because you bought the right coin at the right time. That's the lie. That's the seduction. It's the easy path. I'm going to get rich. I bought the right coin at the right time. That's the influencer fantasy. That's the me standing in front of my Lamborghini after I just did the same thing 6 months ago. And now you can do it too. But that's not how true wealth is built. I've sat down with billionaires. I don't need to tell you my personal net worth, but I've sat down with the ruling class, okay? And those folks, some of them are in crypto, but not in the way you think. And buying the right coin at the right time with a super small market capitalization and a liquidity pump and dump is not how crypto creates millionaires. Here's the truth. Crypto will make millionaires, because every financial mania creates winners and losers. Look at tulip mania. Look it up. Not because the asset is magic. The incentives are magic. People don't get rich because of crypto. They get rich because of human behavior. This can be plugged into a quantitative algorithm, just like any other data point. Here's how the lie was sold to you. Crypto influencers don't sell coins. They sell certainty of outcome if you buy a coin, and they earn money from what? Your attention, your engagement, your clicks. They say, this is the next Bitcoin. This is the next protocol. I've seen it so many times. It's not as if I'm not tracking this. This coin is gonna go 100x. This project is gonna change everything. If you miss this, you're gonna regret it forever. Listen, that's not analysis, that's dopamine. It's a dopamine cycle. Crypto's biggest marketing machine is not technology, it's fear of missing out. And the reason people fall for it is really quite simple. Crypto feels like a cheat code in a video game, a shortcut, a way around a system that feels rigged. And guess what? The system in a lot of ways is rigged. That's what I'm writing about in my book, Inheritance, because I'm tired of people telling half-truths. And people deserve to know the truth about how all of these different facets of the industry work. So you're not wrong for feeling that way. In many ways, the system is rigged, just not in the way that all the peoples with the incentives tell you that it's rigged. Human psychology is a very interesting thing, and boy, does it get used. So how does crypto actually create millionaires? Let's expose this mechanism. Crypto millionaires are created through the very volatility that most people can't handle due to their risk capacity or behavior. I mean, there are books written on behavioral economics, how people respond, just their tolerance. Their capacity for risk is whether or not they can even put their money there in the first place given the expected utility of their money. Can I go buy groceries if I put all of my money here? Or do I have to take out a second loan at a 28% interest rate and then my entire house, my wife leaves me? But the millionaires are created through volatility, not value creation. Volatility is the engine. Illiquidity is the fuel. Emotion, psychological gasoline on base human emotions is the spark. Every boom creates early adopters, early accumulators, and early speculators. And every bust forces people to sell into capitulation. Where do you think the people like me buy it at? Capitulation prices. Where do you think the institutions buy it at? Capitulation prices. And are they buying the altcoins? No. They're reading your fear and they're buying at the bottom with data points and sentiment indicators, quantitative analysis, and qualitative analysis that you can't even fathom because they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people sitting behind 4 computer screens. Not one dude with a bandana. And look, he had a great analysis. I'm not here to judge that human being. He had a great analysis, and that was awesome to see. But listen, the institutions aren't going to lose. They spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars not to lose. To be quicker, to be better researched, to have the best talent, etc. The worlds of the boom and bust collide, and wealth transfers. And it's happened every single time. Who are the largest owners of cryptocurrency? Look at it. Who are the largest owners? Kind of interesting that those are the same people that are shouting from the rooftops that everybody has to buy. The winners are not the smartest people. They're simply the earliest and they're the calmest. And now I'm talking about the retail crowd. The earliest and the calmest. You don't need a PhD to do well if you're early and you're calm. The problem is it's very difficult to be early and calm. But you really don't need a PhD. You don't need insider tech knowledge. You don't need to understand blockchain at a deep level. You just need to find the coin at a cheap price that takes off, be early and be calm. You need the ability to buy that coin early, to the stomach, the intestinal fortitude to manage yourself through the volatility, and the discipline to take profits. Not hodl at all costs or whatever the frickin' verbiage is, HODL. You can tell how much I pay attention to that crowd. Hold on for dear life, right? No. Nobody rings a bell when it hits a top. And that's exactly what the machine wants you to do. That's it. Most people lose money because they treat this speculation like a strategy. They buy the top, they sell the bottom, they chase the narratives. Cryptocurrency in general rewards patience, it rewards structure, it rewards proper risk management, and the wealth transfer happens because human psychology is infinitely predictable. We have not changed one iota over all of these different cycles of history. We are basically the same people. Crypto is no different than the tulip mania. It's not a technology story, it's a behavior story. Behavior doesn't change. You could almost put it on a frickin' line graph. So here's why crypto isn't your wealth plan, but can be part of one. First of all, if you think cryptocurrency is your retirement plan, it isn't. I'm sorry, it's not. If you think it's a wealth multiplier, it very well can be. When I built in cryptocurrency to my personal portfolio that I manage here, it increased my Sharpe ratio, it increased my overall returns, and there's convexity to it. And I'm okay with the increased volatility. I'm okay with that. But it's a very, very specific allocation relative to all the other allocations that I have. And it's at very specific price points. It's disciplined. It can only be a wealth multiplier if you understand that crypto just amplifies your behavior. It doesn't amplify your intelligence. So if you weren't structured before and all of a sudden you get rich on crypto, you're not all of a sudden going to be structured now. If you weren't disciplined before, you're not going to be disciplined now. If you were emotional before and now you're rich, you're going to be even more emotional now. Wealth doesn't magically make you more intelligent. I've sat down, literally, billionaires are different. These folks got there because they're smart. Multi-millionaires. There's like 3 or 4 different kinds. There's the kind that came from nothing, which is like me. The kind that came from nothing that had to be smart, that had to be almost perfect in order to get where they're at. And they analyze things down to the gnat's eyebrow, man. They figure it out. And even then they know they're going to make mistakes. And then when they make those mistakes, they brush them off. And they treat the mistake as a teacher. Then there's the people that think they're awesome because they're millionaires. And it's usually because they got lucky. They invested it passively in the S&P 500 during the right period of time, because they were in the accumulation phase of their lives and they were still earning $300,000 a year in a salary job. They could handle the recession of '08 because they didn't get frickin' canned. And they ended up with $3 or $4 million, so they think they're awesome. They're not. They're stupid. And they don't realize how close they are to complete oblivion if they don't manage their risk properly. because they don't have a pension. Then there's the folks that inherit their wealth, that have no respect whatsoever for what it took to create it in the first place. And this is like the second or third generation wealth. There's a saying that the first generation creates it, the second generation enjoys it, the third generation destroys it. This is usually second or third generation wealth. They have no concept. Then there's the I got rich on Instagram crowd, who's lived in a warped reality since 2017, 2018, especially 2020, when there's been infinite money printing and infinite money being able to be made by making you the product. And the people that hacked that code got really rich, and they have no idea what the 1970s looked like. They have no idea. Then there's the people that actually were taught about wealth by their family. And these are usually the upper crust people, and they're just as studious as the people who created it themselves. Those are the millionaires. But chances are, if you're investing in an altcoin and hoping to become a multi-millionaire, you're gonna display the behaviors of somebody who doesn't understand how money works. You rode a train, it worked, congratulations. You're gonna make a lot of the same money mistakes that most of those second, third, fourth people on the list I just spoke about make. So educate yourself on wealth and how to manage it and how concentration risk is a real thing. Crypto is optionality. It's not obligation. It's not a religion. Just like any religion, it creates fanatics. Do not be fanatical. Think of it like this. Stocks build wealth. Performance, earnings, profitability, moats. Stocks build wealth. Private enterprises run properly build wealth. Annuities protect wealth. They're insured, protected income. Real estate stabilizes wealth. God's not making any more real estate. Crypto extends wealth. It's optionality. It's a geopolitical hedge. It's a sovereign store. It's an incredibly volatile asset. It can grow tremendously. Understand that its movement relative to the markets is 2 to 3 times as fast. So you can grow it significantly quicker than the market would grow, and you can feel awesome, and you can also lose 80%. Like that. Optionality is a game, it's not dependency, and under no circumstances should crypto exceed the amount you can emotionally afford to lose. That's rule number 1, that's behavioral. In absolutely no circumstances should crypto be the amount that you can't afford to lose from a these are the guardrails to live my life standpoint. I've seen this so many times. I've had folks come into my office that invested prior to 2020 when it collapsed and they panicked, or invested prior to 2017, the end of 2017. I called that. You guys remember when Litecoin was like way up there? Like way up there. Ridiculously highly priced, and then just plummeted off the face of the earth? Yeah, there were people I was talking to that were into forced capitulation selling. Bitcoin, as of right now, November 18th, 2025, it's negative on the year. What happened to the people who bought in February? It's ridiculous. They could have purchased SGov, an ETF that tracks T-bills, and earned better returns. Here's the deep truth that most influencers will never tell you. And by the way, I'm not attempting to be an influencer. If I were attempting to be an influencer, I wouldn't be so straight up. I don't need the followers, okay? And, you know, by the way, for folks, yes, I have notes, because for the one person that's gonna say, does this person have notes? Yes, I have notes. I'm very passionate about this. I care deeply about other human beings, and I'm sick and tired of watching people get torched by a system that they don't understand. Crypto's biggest success stories aren't just about Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're about one simple reality. In every emerging market, the first adopters always win. Look back at any early technology. Look at AI. Look at NVIDIA. Do you wish you would have bought NVIDIA when it was trading at the equivalent of before the split? Because, I mean, it's split, right? $30, $15 a share. As of today, it's trading at $186. That's really $1,860. Imagine you bought it at $30 a share. Imagine you were an early adopter for AI. You think you'd be happy right now? Of course you'd be. But the last believers in anything always lose. The people that just bought NVIDIA, now I'm not saying NVIDIA is not dominant. I'm just saying that the people who just slammed $1 million into an NVIDIA at its frickin' all-time high at $207, if they needed that money in the next year, it's trading at $186 right now. It's probably gonna go lower. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go lower tomorrow, but it's probably going to revert to some sort of mean. It's probably going to go down to like 146 or 130 or 110 or 80. That would be ideal to be able to buy it at 80. So crypto isn't a wealth plan, it's a wealth amplifier. It's for the people who already had a plan, that want to add a sleeve to their plan to optimize upside. Here's your checklist. Crypto makes millionaires through volatility, not certainty. You don't need the right coin, you need the right behavior. Fear of missing out is a tax on people without a plan. The earliest and the calmest in any new emerging technology win. Crypto is optionality. It is not an income source. It's only an income source if you add additional layers of complexity to cryptocurrency, which we've seen how that plays out in the past. Never invest more than you can afford into crypto, either emotionally or just realistically. Bitcoin is not a retirement plan, it is a sovereign sleeve. And a strong structure beats lucky speculation every frickin' day of the week and twice on Sunday. Crypto is going to reward those who are disciplined, not those who are delusional. I hope this hit home with some of you. I'm not telling you to sell cryptocurrency. I'm not telling you to buy cryptocurrency. I'm not telling you any of those things. I'm telling you to be smart. Please be smart. If you know somebody in your life that needs to hear this, subscribe, like this video, share the video. Stay tuned for more. There's going to be macro thesis, monetary policy. I'm going to unravel the Fed. I'm going to go so deep. And for everything that I can't do here, I'm going to put in the book. And I've already put it in the book, actually. It's being edited right now. 200 and something plus academic citations. I'm posting receipts, okay? Inheritance launches June of 2026. I'm exposing every single frickin' lie the financial industry has been hiding, including a lot of this stuff that's happening right in front of our eyes right now. Everything you've been trained not to question, everything you take as a false narrative that sounds just enough wrapped in truth to be right. If you want truth, if you want unbiased, look, I'm not a yes man, but if you want somebody who's going to tell it to you straight, because they don't need you to like them, but they just want to help, this is the spot. This isn't about hype. This is about truth. I believe firmly, and this is just back to my personal mission, I believe firmly that my greatest gift in life is to share what I have learned with other people. And man, if you know anything about my life story, if you know anything about the path I've taken here, hundreds of books on philosophy, hundreds of books on psychology, hundreds of books on systems thinking, hundreds of books on macro, hundreds of books on world religion, hundreds of books on the financial system. I'm a systems thinker. I bring it all together. I don't say that to brag. I say that because there's very few people out there that bring it all in one spot. That's what I'm attempting to do here. Because we've got a whole generation of people that are growing up in an entirely different world than their fathers or their mothers grew up in. And they need the truth. They need to understand the forces at play and how to navigate the waters. Until then, be good to each other. Speak truth. It's the most important thing in the world. Act with integrity. Be kind. Be well.